Hello everyone and welcome to SwitchUp. In today's video we've got our monthly score roundup for you. We'll look at the games we reviewed last month, the month of course of July, and we'll put them in order from the lowest ranked going up of course until the highest. Just before we get started, there'll be no Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in this particular list. There was no way of getting the review done in time for it to qualify for this month, but no doubt it will appear in next month's roundup video. Right, which game got the highest score for the month then? Well, let's find out. Kicking us off then, in 8th place we had Time on Frog Island. This sees you marooned on an island inhabited entirely by frogs, and you must seek the aid of these frogs in order to fix your boat by carrying out various tasks and requests by the locals. At its strongest, it is very enjoyable to explore the island, and there is most certainly a charm that enhances the whole experience, but it can feel a little contrived, not quite offering the complete sense of freedom that it initially feels would be the case. Fans of life sims will enjoy what's here, although perhaps wait for a discount. It got a SwitchUp score of 69%. In 7th place was Gamedec. This is a top-down isometric adventure game where you play as a detective, the titular Gamedecs, who must enter game worlds in order to solve crimes. It has a very interesting cyberpunk world to explore and a choice system which does add a lot of weight to the story. The deductions that you make will have a big impact on the way the game plays out, meaning that if you miss certain clues you could have a completely different experience, and the biggest downside really was that the endings themselves were perhaps a little underwhelming compared to the rest of the narrative and visual style. It got a SwitchUp score of 75%. Coming in at 6th place for the month was Bright Memory Infinite, which is a first-person shooter which was designed by just one person. The visuals are incredibly impressive and it has some interesting mechanics such as a parry move, something you don't generally associate with a first-person shooter. The original Bright Memory, which was due to be episodic, was redesigned into this Infinite edition, but it does still feel too short, and were they able to take what's here and really flesh it out and expand upon it, you would have a very impressive game for sure. It's not outrageously expensive for what is here, but it does just feel too short as I mentioned a moment ago. On the whole though, it got a SwitchUp score of 77%. In 5th place we had F.I.S.T Forged in Shadow Torch. This tells an interesting story revolving around being part of a resistance battling against those seeking to invade your homeland. Gameplay wise, it is a fairly traditional Metroidvania with new abilities allowing you to enter previously inaccessible areas, and the fist weapon almost makes the game feel like a beat 'em up at times with new moves to learn and use. It does just have that sense of having been developed by a small team, with some of the animations and translation suffering a tad and therefore pulling you out of the experience, but aside from this, a very good game, and it got a SwitchUp score of 78%. In 4th place for the month was Severed Steel, the second first-person shooter on the list, which is quite similar to the game Super Hot for those of you that have played that. You'll be blasting holes in walls, jumping through windows and performing all manner of bullet time style moves using your arm cannon or picking up the guns of felled enemies to carry on the carnage. The lack of an option for gyro aiming, bearing in mind the Switch's capabilities in this respect, does feel like an oversight, but a very enjoyable game nonetheless, and it got a SwitchUp score of 81%. Moving into the top 3, and in 3rd place we have Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. This is a remaster of a classic Super Nintendo top-down shooter which has had a graphical upgrade while still retaining the difficulty but very captivating gameplay of the original. It includes online leaderboards and it is fun to play in either single player or local co-op, but here is where the biggest issue with the game is found. You need to unlock multiplayer either by completing the story mode or by collecting enough coins within each level, and even more bizarre is the fact that they also locked the game's easy mode behind the coin system. Two very odd decisions that do hurt the game as an accessible package, but the core gameplay is still great and it got a SwitchUp score of 82%. In 2nd place was the most recent review on the channel in Live Alive. This remake of a classic JRPG from 1994 sees the game accessible to those in the West for the first time. A slightly different review this one for us in that we did it as a discussion between us, a combination of both of us having kids and it being the summer holidays, making reviewing a JRPG difficult in any other way. Created in Square Enix's new HD 2D graphical style, which looks just as lovely as ever, and it uses a gameplay style which is still quite unique to this day in that you change character every chapter, and each chapter, whilst keeping the same combat system, does also adopt a new gameplay mechanic of some description which keeps things interesting. It does still show its old school roots at times and may be a bit short for some compared to other games of a similar ilk, but it makes for a refreshing change and it got a SwitchUp score of 87%. And in 1st place for the month was the Portal Companion Collection. Releasing towards the end of June, but just missing out time-wise in being in last month's roundup, this is a collection of the classic games Portal and Portal 2. Some of the best first-person puzzle games ever made, with the physics system based on real-world properties, and the puzzles are as challenging and ingenious as they always were. The voice acting is top notch and adds so much charm and humour to the story, and these are as good as they ever were and are also priced fantastically well. A lesson in exactly how to port older games to a newer system and how to price them for that matter. It got a SwitchUp score of 90%. So there you have it, another month of SwitchUp reviews. Which of these games did you pick up? Did you enjoy them? Please do let us know about it in the comments section, or any games that we didn't review and therefore aren't on this list, please do let us know what you thought of them. Again, stick it all down below. Don't forget, if you are looking for eShop credit to pick up any of these games or any others for that matter, you can do so via our website switchup.gg, and if you are looking to import any games, there's also a link down there to Play Asia. If you use the link and then use the code stated, you can get yourself 5% off of an order. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.